What's up, ladies and gents? bday Dragoon here with the replay review series where I look at your replays and review them here on the channel. Today we're jumping on board with Sean, who's from Canada, who's been playing for about 4 years casually, Regicide here on Adrift, and the description of things that aren't working for him in this replay. He says he can't strafe for the life of him, he also needs help knowing how to stay alive longer, and then finally, anything else I think needs to be addressed. Great points, I loved that email. I'm going to address these sort of in a reverse order, starting with the things that I think need to be addressed. Right off the bat, we're going to talk about this power weapon and the way you're using the sticky det. You lift up right here, which I don't really like, because the sticky det is one of those weapons you want to bait them towards you. If they know you have it, they're gonna like either avoid you entirely or try and get close enough and in your face enough that you can't use the sticky det effectively. Sticky det is good at like medium range, right? It's hard to use at long range, and it's dang near impossible to get kills up close because, let's face it, the blast radius is pretty big. You're most likely going to damage yourself in a close range fight with the sticky det. So really focus on drawing folks in towards you. There's 3 power weapons on this map: Scattershot, sticky det, and the sword. I like your option here to go pick up the sword. Sword's more of that kind of weapon you can use to go up the lift with, right? You can be aggressive because you've got that lunge range, and it is really effective in those close range engagements, right? But be careful, with the sticky det in those situations. Also, I'm going to bring up another thing right here. Audio is really important. I want you to listen here. You're going to hear a scatter shot. You see the enemy go towards him. You hear the scatter shot, and then you charge, which is a really bad decision. All the power weapons have a really unique sound, and you have to be aware of it, especially the scatter shot and the shotgun. Don't ever challenge a scatter shot with a sword. The sword is always going to lose if the scattershot player is pretty aware of what's going on, right? He'll get a bull true, no questions asked, because it's a counter, right? The scattershot counters the sword at close distance. It's more powerful. So really be paying attention to the power weapons and the noises that they make. Check this out. The king also right here isolates himself from the group, yet you tend to try and fight in this little pot of 3 right here. I would have suggested, instead of trying to just fight what's convenient and what's close by, to focus on engaging other engagements, which means not starting fights. It means interrupting them like halfway through. And then also, when a king isolates himself like that, you were the only person on that side of the map, right? When the king lifted over there, you had a really strong chance of being able to go get a pretty easy king kill. Also, you get a nice double kill here on the king, which is great. And we're going to talk about sprinting around corners here in just a second, because you're going to sprint around this corner and wah. When you're in the sprint animation, you can't shoot for at least 1.5 seconds, so don't sprint around corners, especially when you see folks on your radar. You could have lived out of that exchange. I do like you get the kill, but at the same time, you can't be sprinting around corners if you want to keep that KD really high and you want to stay alive longer, right? So not sprinting around corners will definitely help with that. And also, listening to those power weapons like I mentioned earlier. And finally, I talk about this in every free-for-all, so I hope it's not getting old at this point, but don't start the fights. Interrupt them. You want to engage others after they've done all the hard work of taking their shields out, right? That's the goal. If you come into a fight halfway through and they're already weak, easy kills, right? But if you start the fight, everybody who's around you is going to immediately charge in and start killing you. Let's talk a little bit about TMR accuracy here. You pop his shield, no problem, but then miss all the shots afterwards. So let's take a look at this one more time and count. So you had nice accuracy popping his shields, but it looks like you started to panic once the shields were popped, right? And you miss, let's count it here. Shield pops right here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 shots spam. That was 5 chances to hit his head. Next time, try something that we did in Reach a lot, which is when the shields are popped, don't panic, be very calm, and slowly move your crosshair, or smooth, I think smooth is a better word, smoothly move your crosshair, and try and time 1 or 2 shots, not 5. If you're spamming the shots, you're kind of panicking, you're not being smooth, and you're not going to be able to clench that last shot, right? Whereas if you just time it, like you did in Reach, people don't have to time their shots as much as they did in Halo 4. Or excuse me, Halo 4, you don't have to time your shots like you did in Reach. So it can lead to a lot of spamming, and I think people forget that, when you're spamming, you're not really concentrating on making every shot count, right? Check out this, by the way. You use the lift, but you're stuck in the sprint animation the whole lift ride. You could be shooting this whole lift ride and end up with a double kill instead of just getting the king, right? Next time, when you're on the lift, don't be in the sprint animation, and if you do sprint into the lift in the animation, just hit left or right on the left thumbstick, and you'll be out of the animation, no problem. So we're jumping ahead in the game to address the last thing I want to talk about, where you say you can't strafe, and I definitely think you can strafe, but you're not thinking about it, and you're not what is the word? You're just not using it the correct way. Every time you see somebody and you're trying to engage, you run at them in a straight line to try and get a melee off. Now, don't take this offense to this. A lot of players do this, but I'm gonna say you rely on the melee to make up for your inability to clean up kills with your gun. Definitely don't take offense to it. A lot of players do it, but you just seem very uncomfortable with plain, simple gunfighting. You know, it always, we're gonna see here in the next like 3 or 4 goes, you charge directly at the enemy in a straight line and try and get the melee off. Good bolt shots, by the way, coming here. But when you run at the enemy in a straight line, first of all, it gives the enemy a free kill. They don't have to move their crosshairs. Once they've centered up on you once and you run at them in a straight line, every one of their shots is going to hit. There's no reason for them to miss shots if you're not moving left and right? The melee also in this game is pretty stinking risky, especially since bolt shots are everywhere. Most of the time, you don't need to charge in to try and hit him up with the melee, right? When they're in this close quarters engagement type of situation, that's your bolt shot time. But for the rest of the game, you should really be focusing on using edges for cover and peek shooting, or as we used to say in paintball, snap shooting. So let's check this out in the bullet points, and thank you for the replay again, Sean. So right off the bat, I think you need to be very careful with the power weapons. Be listening for the sounds of the power weapons and understand what counters what. If he's got a scatter shot, don't charge him with the sword. Also, don't sprint around corners into battle. This will help with your second point where you asked about how to stay alive longer. Watching your radar and not sprinting around corners will help with this. Finally, be really paying attention to how you gunfight. Don't run at players in a straight line, and use edges and corners to peek around and shoot. You know, you peek around the corner, fire a shot, peek around the corner, fire a shot, and you pull back each time. From this, you'll develop a way to strafe and use your gun. Try to use the melee less. The more you rely on your gun for kills, the better your strafe is going to become, and the better your accuracy is going to become, because you're not going to rely upon just 3, 2, 1, bam, melee, hitting 3 shots and then melee. But it was a great replay. I appreciate it. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. I'm BBK Dragoon. I'm keeping these short because I got slow internet. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow, and leave your feedback below if you had extra critiques. Love you guys. Peace.